tell me a little bit about you before high level. How do we get to know Pamela?
Such a story, I think, and it came from a real pure desire of wanting to make more money. So I got pregnant at 17 and did what I needed to do to work and build as great a life as I could without a college education. And I figured out really quickly that if I was in sales, I had a little bit more control over my income, right? So I could make a little bit more than what a quote unquote uneducated woman could at that time, right? In the 80s. It's a long time ago. So that started it. And then I waited until the children were grown. So I was 40 when they were 22 and 18. So that was about the cutoff for me, mom guilt wise. Okay, maybe I can go ahead and pursue what it is that I've always wanted to do. And I decided I would move to Korea. Long story, but kind of random, but somebody.
I lived in Korea for 2 years.
Where? I did too. Seoul is like, love it. We've got kimchi here. It's hard to find in Mexico, but we've got kimchi.
Okay, awesome.
Loved it. And when I got over there, I was able to make even more money than I'd ever made before. And it was because of this ability to talk and relate to people. That's all I ever really knew I knew how to do. When you do those personality tests and those sorts of things, and they say, what are you good at? And I'm like, well, nothing. That is not the truth. But at that time, I didn't see the accumulation of who I was. And I could relate to people and I liked people and I wanted to know their stories and I wanted to know who they were. So when I came back from Korea, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can teach English online because I'm like, I can't go back to a job or somebody's going to get hurt, right? And I started that. That work didn't work. It was still very hourly and there was travel time or things like that. And I could start to see it wasn't going to be effective to get me to the next income level that I always dreamed about, right? Wanting to make a lot of money. And I got into the online world through networking events in Vancouver and started interviewing people about what is it that you really do? Why are you successful? I wanted to know. I was always inquisitive, right?
Yeah.
And I found I was really, really drawn to coaches. They'd gone through transformation and I liked that idea. So I became a coach. Then, as you know, once you get into being a coach or a consultant or anything, you got to go find clients. No, I was not good at that. So I thought, well, it must be because I'm a coach. I'm not good enough as a coach. So I got 4 coaching certifications. Okay, that's not the answer. And then it was like, okay, well, maybe it's social media. I should move to social media. That's probably the problem. I'm in the wrong place. Nobody's going to hire a coach. Well, you can start to hear where I'm going, right? Couldn't get clients. But in the meantime, having changed my brand 14 times, I was really good at building a website and figuring the tech side out and how to brand and how to do this and build a funnel and all of these things. And I ended up in a coaching program to try to sell my coaching services in a webinar funnel and blah, blah, blah. And they were using ClickFunnels. And I'm like, ClickFunnels? What is this? This was really exciting. I thought I can do this. I can do this in my sleep, right? And I thought, well, let me just be an affiliate. I always wanted to be an affiliate. So I get in and I realize these people have no idea what they're doing. Right? They had no idea. They couldn't edit a video. They didn't know what a domain was. And I was like, huh? Like, again, building up skills, that zone of genius, I didn't know I knew, and I didn't know it was valuable. I just did it in my sleep kind of idea.
Yeah.
Then I just started offering it to people. And there's a lot more story than that, but we'll speed this thing up a little bit for you. And it went to $997. And then you get frustrated and you increase the price because, of course, I wouldn't do it based on worthiness. I would just do it based on frustration. Right?
Yes.
So let's go 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 15,000. And then we were rolling. We really figured something. Wow. And then ClickFunnels pissed me off.
Okay.
The bro marketing stuff was really not working for me. And my coach was the VP of marketing for ClickFunnels. And we got sitting in our living room talking about what's really going on in business. And that was the first time I ever heard that things aren't as they appear online, right? Like to some degree, because I don't operate my life that way. So it's the only lens I could kind of look through, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Huh? You're kidding. Okay. So word on the street was there's software coming. She's going to create her own. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait. Shut the agency down, moved to Northern Saskatchewan, Canada, did some local marketing up there for this big resort just before COVID. Oh. And I know, right? And then it was like, what is this? And it came out and I was looking at it and I thought, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And somebody said to me, Pamela, that's high level. You know, it's white labeling. I go, what's white labeling? Off to Google I go. And she says, you know, you can do this too. I said, what? No, that's for old white men. First thought. no, I'm not a software business. That's not what I do. I'm good. And I got back into being a funnel builder, digital marketing, and I did really, really well at it really quickly, got back into it, got an expert in that white label version, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Then people started asking me, can you do what they do? You're really techie, Pamela. Do you think you could build that for me? And I'm like, yeah, no, I do what I'm doing. But that's how I built my whole career. And I don't know what I'm doing. Let me go see.
Figure
And
it
now
out. Yeah.
I just figure it out. And now I build SaaS businesses for service provider, coaches, consultants, digital marketers, etc. So it's a long journey of just pure desire to live the life I've always dreamt of having since I was a young kid, living and driving around on the tractor.
Man, so there's so many things I want to dive into from
I know. I didn't even give you a pause there.
I mean, what an amazing story though. And so like hearing your story, I'm like, it's just so inspiring to me that you wanted something and it was out of the goodness of your heart. Like you want to make more money. That's not a vain or bad thing. It's like, no, this is what I'm going after. This is what I want for me, my family, and you went for it. So first of all, so awesome. Thanks for sharing that. But I want to dive a little bit into some of the principles, I guess you could say, of what led you to the next step, right? Like you kept having to make these changes. How did you do that and not like have the fear or like get in your head about how...
What made you think I didn't have the fear or God in my head?
Well, yeah. So let's talk about it. Because I think people think, oh, they must just be completely risk averse. Like they don't care. They're willing to try anything. They have money to get things started. Like, how did you handle that situation? What made you be able to do it?
So much there. And I was just talking to somebody a little bit earlier today that I wish there were more people that were willing to tell the truth about what this really looked like, so that when it didn't look like that for me, I didn't feel crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's something inherently wrong, because that unfortunately was and can still be my default position, that it must be me. And that comes from trauma, and that comes from where I came from, and that I have understood now is a default that I can change and work on changing, and I'm aware of. But it wasn't always that way. What it really came down to was a really strong desire for the life that I wanted. That was what kept bringing me forward and pushing me forward, and still does today. However, at each moment to get to the next place, I had to become incredibly uncomfortable, to a place where there was so much cognitive dissonance, they call it. The thought of who I am versus where I want to be and who I need to be there was so uncomfortable that I thought I was just going to crack open. The thoughts and feelings and fears were so strong over here that over here they didn't match. They couldn't.
Wow.
So to come back to what drove me over here, yes, I do love a little bit more risk than some. But the risk for me is really about, do I want to get to the end of my life and say, you know what, I coulda?
Yeah.
Or it's even bigger than that for me. If my husband came to me today and he's sick and he needs $1 million, and I'm sitting here and have the ability to do that because I do, and I'm going to say to him, I'm sorry, I can't do that because I'm too chicken, that's not going to work for me. I know that I can do this because I'm just like everyone else that's done it. It's possible. It must be possible. I must first believe that. And then I have to go and figure out what's in the way.